lot of aesthetic mood boards of like, there's a look, there's an image, there's a this. And there's people that I interviewed that you would have never known. They're doing this major, they're doing this, they're in this sport, because we do have sports in here. Honey drip check, honey drip fit, honey fit drip. Anyways, Nylas honey drip check, honey drip check, honey drip check. I like that, honey drip check. Anyways, because we're like the bees, like the scad bees, so honey drip check. As my analytics show on this camera, I can really say I had 35 days worth of interviews, and I've surpassed and at least gotten between 110 to 125 for season 1. I had just about that as my goal. As somebody that I did dance majority of my life, which dance is sport. Yes, it is. I did tennis and swimming as well. So I'm not a wizard in all the sports, but I know what it's like to be a high school athlete. And it's just, you know, you never know. Like, I may be talking to like the next artist, the next big graphic designer, the next painter, and this could be the video that somebody goes to and be like, oh my gosh, like, I remember when they were just a student. You know, I wanted to give that type of aura, that type of energy, because we do so much. And I feel like in the art world, in the industry art world, scat's known, but I feel like I want like my outside people and my peers from New York and New Jersey to really like get hip to it. Hello everybody. Hi everybody. My name is Nyla, and this is Nyla from Nylas Multimedia. But if you're also here from Love Chic Lifestyle, my lifestyle blog, where I talk about fashion, beauty, and lifestyle topics, hey to you guys too. I call it my big sister and my little sister brands. My big sister being Love Chic Lifestyle, because I started that at 13, and my little sister being Nylas Multimedia, which is the platform you're seeing now on my YouTube channel, and you're just gonna see so much content. But this is, as you have already read by this video in the beginning, in the title, of course, that this is a special one. And as somebody that has started off as a writer, journalistic major, this was a very significant thing that was a progression over time that I feel like it's needed. It's needed in current culture. It's needed in not only in the pop culture sense, it's needed in the new voices, the new perspectives. And that is what I really want to bring on this channel. I don't want it to just be me vlogging around the school, looking cute, have my cute outfits on, you know, putting people on to different things outside of artists and artists that are outside of the art school that I'm at. I knew when I had started doing this specific segment that I included, which if I was going to say, is this from Nylas Multimedia or Love Chic Lifestyle, it's more so Nylas Multimedia, because I am at SCAD, I'm a SCAD student, and I'm documenting not only my life, but these interviews are like a little snippet of how we live, not we, but like how some of my peers, you know, one is like from what they want to say, their lives, what they're doing, what their major is. And I want to really take a moment before I really share with you guys the archive worthy of my first season. I forgot to write this down, but I'm going to be breaking this. Before I start, I'm breaking my things by season, my interviews, segments by season. Okay, so the conversation that I'm talking to you now is going to be remnants of what I'm doing overall. But when you're seeing the ways in which I post, which there's going to be, for the people in the chat that are like, what's the layout, what are you doing, my full interviews are going to be on YouTube. Okay, my full interviews are going to be on YouTube, and the shorts and the small clips of specific questions or specific people, those will be on social media, those will be on YouTube Shorts. But you want people's full interviews, it's gonna be on this page. Okay, so like that's where it's residing. That is a part of my brand, that is a part of building not only my journalistic portfolio, but practicing something that I've wanted to do for my life. You know, I did one, before I started, I did one interview, and it was my fashion writing class. And that was the first time I did an interview like with myself in an assignment. And this interview was of the brand Yeti, which is an African brand that I had did. And it was one of the most nerve-wracking but most like dopamine filled experiences, because you really were getting from their perspective, like how they started their brand, what their perspective is. And even though my peers are not brands, like we're just peers, just going through our studies, documenting our process, like trying to build a portfolio. This was a very significant moment for me in my college experience, because when you start the brands, and I'm sorry, I'm an ad major, I'm an advertising brand major, so I'm gonna be just talking from that sense in a second before I get to started, just in the intro type thing, type shit. You look at all different perspectives. You try to find, based off of my major, based off of many majors, whether it's in business, whether it's anything, you try to find not even just a problem, but a thing, a space that you feel is missing in the industry. Finding a space, finding voices, finding things that you know that are gaps that you may want to fill. The gap that I wanted to fill was the college perspective, art related or art student perspective interview. I feel like, and we're going to hear and we're going to talk about it in this video, that, I'll have my top 5 reasons of why college student, art specifically, art uni college student perspectives are valuable. They are, they are. And I mean that with all seriousness, because I feel like, in addition to that is the mind maps based off of my questions. I got my whiteboard. So when I say mind maps, I literally am saying mind maps. And if you don't know what a mind map is, it's pretty much like a spider web of a centered event. Now, I'm a writer, so I'm gonna have to abbreviate, but we still gonna talk about it, and I'm still giving you the visuals with the expo markers in hand. I released this video and stating exactly why I felt like this was important, and as I progressed, and I don't think I had said my format. My format also is by seasons. So my perspective in which I'm talking is not just for season 1, which is winter quarter. It is the seasons that is the progressive seasons. I'm a junior right now, but as somebody that is in advertising and branding, I just switched my major. I've got a few seasons I can do. I've got enough seasons where I have very high goals for myself that I want to achieve. I won't even spoil it into seeing what those goals are. I just want to see if I can manifest them and see if it makes it work. You know what I'm saying? But I've got very high goals for this. And as far as it goes into what I feel like in the gap that's missing in pop culture, in the arts, in just being a college student, is not only the college voices, but the art students. I feel like we live, and this is gonna start getting into my top 5, we live in a industry full of people that want to be entrepreneurs or seeking into entrepreneurs, or not. It's not everybody. Now there's still people that are, wanting to take the corporate route or wanting to take a traditional route, but heavier than ever, the rise in entrepreneurial fields, the rise in doing things yourself, DIY, but doing it yourself, being your own boss, being your own thing is big. And especially in a creative sense, whether it's vlogging I believe stems from it's really like filming, it's documenting, it's photography, it's the majors that we learn, but more in-depth studies. And I feel like as somebody that is not only an art student, but just a person that's an observer, I, as an art student, feel like a little discouraged that there's such a gap in what people really think we do every day as being an art student and being in an art school. I feel like we do, and at least in US culture, we do value an Ivy League, we do value a state school, we do value a community or even an online, but we don't hear the voices of reason from several of these, like the designers that we follow today. There wasn't always an online school. There wasn't always a this, there wasn't always that. They traditionally studied. They traditionally studied to get to the places they needed to get to, you know? And I feel like being in art school, I feel like there's also a lot of like gaps and misconceptions about what you do at art school. And this, especially with the rise of AI and the rise of different things, that people think that like that's all the way a substance or a substitute for doing something. And everybody has their own opinion on it, but I feel like I have to address all the elephants in the room now, because I am a writer, I am a photographer, I'm a multimedia artist, I'm a brander, advertiser, fashion photographer. And when I get into something I'm passionate about, I like to address everything, okay? So let's get into top 5, okay? And I'm just very passionate, okay? It's nothing against you. It's nothing that I'm trying to, there's no nothing. That was the gap that I felt like, and I saw. I call it my mother's necklace, because this is my mom's necklace, and it's one of my favorite necklaces that I only wear on specific occasions, specific times. Paired it with, I might as well show it now because I'm already getting dehydrated, my SCAD Stanley. Yes, this is the school I go to, and yes, this is a legitimate Stanley cup. Advertising and branding. And let's get into the top 5 now that we've discussed and got a little bit of the brief, okay? And the reasoning and the gap. So 5 reasons of why I believe that art student and college student perspective is valuable, and then the reason of why I'm doing these interviews and why I'm doing this personal project is, okay, number 1 is you get the POV that other industries are looking for in their 20s. 2, art school / at a school gives the benefit of shouting out the next trailblazer artist or next incoming artist that you don't know is like popping or on the rise. 3, it get an understanding of knowing my peers, to be honest. 4, wrapping different pop culture events and gives future nostalgia based on opinions and thoughts, current society and current ways of life. 5, see how people's background affects them and hearing how it reflects on their creative process, okay? So I'm going to just give you just some wraps of why I said these as my 5 points. These are very strong in my opinion, and you guys are going to hear that a lot. When I say from my first point that you get the POV that other industries are looking for, okay, now this is just the generic sense. My 5 is really for a reasoning of why I'm doing interviews, period. Art student interviews, not just like me being at SCAD, but just interviews in general, and starting with my peers, okay? As you know, that and then the 20-something-year-old audience, the audience that is like the college student age, is first of all, those are the people that, I remember when I was little, I looked up to. I wanted to grow up into being 20-something when I was like 8, okay? I always thought that the 20-something is not just because you drink, it's not because you drive, it's because you have the sense of freedom and knowledge, a little bit of like, even if you haven't fully figured it out, and it's okay. My peers are transparent. Look, I'm still figuring it out. But this is what I'm doing right now, and I'm studying it, and I'm pursuing it, and I'm taking the time to work on it, right? I truly believe, and as somebody that is around, like my professors, if you don't know, and you don't know this already, I did a lot of the tours. I've done what do you mean by tours? The college tours that when you're a junior in high school and you would go to schools, and then like that college student would be doing tours around the school and campus and doing stuff. I was one of those people, I promoted the school, and I still am. I still love my school. It is really, that's the school. That was my number 1 school. This is my number 1 school. And I had face-to-face contact with people, whether they're industry people, average people, regular people, people who are interested in the school, students, high school students, young students, little kids, all that. Then there was SCAD days, which that's an event where like it's open to the public and people can come in and really get to see the school just for that day and get to go on almost their own time and get to meet professors that work in the industry and are very well established in the industry and not only have this wealth of connections, but all of them, the short of it is the 20-something perspective, and not even just the 20-something perspective, because the reason I'm thinking that everybody's in their 20s is limited. Honestly, I have people that are in my master's, I have peers that I know that are older coming back to school, but the perspective of being an art student, period, no matter the age, but being an art student, I'm just saying that like a popular demographic, but an art student is something that you don't hear a lot, and if you hear it, it's heard in a lighter sense. But in the industry, you know, we're learning tech and VR and AR and AI and even, you know, learning and using like the blenders and the software in the industry that you're going to already use while you're out there. Yes, you've got the canvas, but you learn that every app that you're seeing right now is based a lot on Adobe platforms, which we're working on and we're learning and progressing on. And we put pieces together and put different bodies of work that reflect the fact of that. And I'm not saying that everything we're like, no, we're like everybody else. It's a progression. Some things didn't come overnight for us. Some things we really had to, many long nights, many long hours. And I think that's the perspective that when people think of an art school, they don't see. They think it's like fluff. And there's many of my peers in these interviews of what I'm doing in this season 1 as I'm talking right now. But I know repetitively said it's not easy. It is a job. And just because, you've got a different type of schedule and you got 10 weeks and, I mentioned the weeks, and I guess I should mention that we are in a quarter system. Quarter system versus semester system is different, like a lot. Semesters, you get like a few months, right? You get a big, you get some big 30-day windows of recouping and getting your classes done, which means you've got longer projects. Quarter system is 10 weeks. 10 weeks. Week 5 is midterm week. Week 1 is add drop week. So that's the week of which people are changing classes. And to be honest, for season 1, I stopped recording at week 8. So really, this is all spanning of 8 weeks. As my analytics show on this camera, I can really say I had 35 days worth of interviews, and I've surpassed and at least gotten between 110 to 125 for season 1. I had just about that as my goal, and I'll put my goal video here. Hey y'all, my goal number of fit checks. There's in total we have 10 weeks and a quarter, so I want to get about. My goal is 100. If I can get 110, you surpass it because I already did 2 in one day. So I mean, I'm here for like about 4 days. So Monday through Thursday, Friday is optional. And I will say, like, socially, I've grown as an individual to be just very comfortable, like, going up to anybody of where the series is gonna go. And I haven't really yet seen it yet. So, and of course, I'm mentioning everybody's so you guys can go and follow them and their majors and everything else. So make sure you stay tuned for more drip checks. Very excited. And these same people might be mentioned in future content ideas that I have, so stay tuned. I already know I'm planning for the future, so all right, bye. The backstory of the drip check and scad drip or honey drip, I don't know what honey drip sounds cool. I actually like honey drip check, honey drip fit, honey fit drip. Anyways, Nylas honey drip check. I like that, honey drip check. Anyways, because we're like the bees, like the scad bees, so honey drip check. In the midst of me doing that one fashion writing class, I really wanted to grow and expand on my culture. I loved the interviews that you would see people like in New York and different places. They would just go and interview random people and do like mini interviews and stuff like that. But being on campus and being in an art school, and specifically this school in general, there's so many people from everywhere. And if my goal could be like 100, that would be an accomplishment for me. I might double it depending on how fast I push these out. But it's just, people have so many really cool fits, and there's so many great sources, and it's just, you know, you never know. Like, I may be talking to like the next artist, the next big graphic designer, the next painter, and this could be the video that somebody goes to and be like, oh my gosh, like, I remember when they were just a student. You know, I wanted to give that type of aura, that type of energy, because we do so much. And I feel like in the art world, in the industry art world, scat's known, but I feel like I want like my outside people and my peers from New York and New Jersey to really like get hip to it, because we only know Parsons and NYU, and no offense to them, like they're good, but I want to bring scat to the light. This video I had recorded literally the first week and like the first time I started doing these fit checks. Okay, so industry is very important. 2, art school and being at an art school, giving the benefit and the shout out to trailblazers. We always, you know, look at these artists that we love and know of today, and then you hear their story, you know, like, you know, they started with an iPhone, or they started doing this, or they started just picking up this hobby, or they switched majors, they switched schools. You never know who you're talking to. Yes, we're in a art school. Yes, it's a private school. Yes, we give preppy sometimes. Yes, it's beautiful in aesthetics, but you really don't know where everybody's background is from until you talk to them. And in an age where I feel like we glamorize of, you know, being, you know, independent, and we're independent and we're doing things ourselves, that sense of collaborative work, even this is a big collaborative project. It's something that I wanted to practice, that I wanted to do, because I knew I was going to have that sense of that advantage in the industry. Okay, so you never know who you're talking to. You don't never know that that person that you talk to in another 3-4 years is going to line up and be in the Oscars, be at the Grammys, be at an MTV awards, be at a BET awards. You know, some people that I talked to, they said they've already worked behind the scenes. All students, and no matter what parent or what background you have, or age and what demographic, I wanted to be able to show on this platform that it don't matter about your aesthetic, your aesthetically mood board, your graphics. It's about you as an artist and how you're able to promote and smell yourself. And I do talk just briefly to all my peers a little bit before I do this interview, because this is a lot of people's first interviews, a lot of people's, not everybody's. It's not everybody's, honestly. I'm not saying that all my 100 is all new people. No, there's people that have done this type of work before because they're versed in the industry. But I feel like it's important to get that regular connection and to feel comfortable. And I want to bring this sense of comfort to them. You know, everything is confirmed. Everything that I do is that sense of knowledge that, like, we good, we collabing. And you never know, like, that person, even though they may not know it now, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, they on a billboard. Guess who got the interview first? Nylas Multimedia. Guess who actually, you know, they went around and they were just like people that do interviews with everyday people. You never know who you're talking to. That's number 2. Number 3, get an understanding of knowing my peers. We are in an art school, okay? But the pacing, honestly, is so fast that even me doing this, if people are like, dang, I can get to know my peers and stuff by doing this, because you're getting to understand them a little better. You're dibbling and dabbling into getting to hear their perspective, not only their major, their minor, their interests. And for me as a commuter, just getting to understand my peers. My peers are such an eclectic group of individuals, and I feel like I wanted to be able to show that. I didn't want to give just, I want to be able to show different demographics and different aesthetics and different people in different areas and different fields, because I wanted to be as real as possible in the perspective of, look, we ain't saying everything under the sun, but saying, like, look, like, there might be that student out there that's literally looking at SCAD or looking at, this school and stuff and being like, I don't think I match the aesthetic. And I feel like honestly, based off of your high school experiences, really turns on whether you want to go through and go to college or not. And to be honest, my high school experiences were stronger and better than my middle school experiences, but those were still like, that when I finished, I was like, I need to go to somewhere where I felt full, and I wanted to be able to meet these peers and know that like, we people too, we human too, we chill too. You never know, you might be in that area and you're like, oh my gosh, like. And I also, for me being in New Jersey, I was the only one from SCAD that graduated high school and went to SCAD in my whole graduating class. They had a board, and on that board there was nobody in my class. I was the only one, and I was one of very few that went to an art school. The people that went to the art school that were in my high school, we already know. We don't even listen. They're going to Parsons, they're going to FIT. And there's nothing against those art schools. I'm just saying that those are my peers that were also, I went to an art academy and they also were pursuing art, and they went to other art schools, So being able to get this perspective, and I do think that SCAD is probably one of the most newer art schools, even though they're definitely established in the industry from the average regular perspective. I don't think that a lot of people know them. I was the only one, and I had to educate my people. I'm like, this is what we do, this is this. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know this building was here or that. Give people a little refresher. That part. 4. Rap in different pop culture events, giving a future nostalgia based on the opinions and thoughts of the current society. This is a lot of me just saying, my questions are not all serious. My questions are a mix of people's backgrounds, a mix of pop culture, because I love on Nylas Multimedia pop culture. I love fashion, I love beauty, I love music, I love lifestyle, I like events, I like pop-ups, I like advertising based things, I like rollouts, I love musicians, I've already mentioned that, but I like that sense of entertainment and pop culture and media and different apps and the way we look at things, because that's something that you're going to look back on and that we're going to create that future nostalgia. Talking about Spotify Wraps and Apple Music, which is one of the things that I've mentioned here, is similar to being like back then in middle school, I was on Snapchat. In that sense of this a pop culture event, it's a thing where I love it when I see people on my feed and they do like 26, they don't know how 26 was for us. Things of that nature that even though I'm like I guess a Gen Z, I can correct myself here. Everybody's got that thing that they did when they were little, and we weren't in the iPad generation. We were in the iPod generation. We weren't in the TikTok and Facebook and Tumblr, and I was on We Hearted. We had just different media that we were looking at, the startup of YouTube. So, and the shift in what a content creator used to look like, even things like vlog content and the way people edit and this high saturation era of editing and vlogs. People don't know the big beauty vloggers and making a come up, and that's where I was raised around. And of course, the cartoons and everything. So I wanted to influence that and really give that sense of perspective. And number 5 is last is to get to see how people's backgrounds of them would hear how it reflects on their creative process. I get different people's backgrounds, and I talk about this in my mind map section that we're going to shift to after this. But getting different people's background is essential because of not just diversity, okay? And I'm a black girl and I'm just getting a diverse panel. No, it's because being able to highlight people's creative process leads to how people were raised, leads to people like where they're from, maybe what like they're doing currently right now. Maybe they did something in this one area, like the things that I did up north in New Jersey. There's like that they maybe aren't done in the South North, or the places and the things I went to, or things that were more prominent. Like say I just did a Krispy Kreme project for business, which I actually recorded that, which you guys will see later. But a lot of people I did in that business class, that was the last day of class, I did in these interviews, and I talked and said, look, Krispy Kreme and Insomnia Cookie, they're under really the same branch. Krispy Kreme bought a lot of Insomnia Cookie, which you know it's here. But I say this because there's more known of Insomnia Cookie up north. There's more locations. It's more a northern brand versus Krispy Kreme, which is based in Winston-Salem. And Insomnia is based, I think, in Connecticut or Pennsylvania, one of the places up north. So it's that differentiation of what we do, what we like, our experiences, where we're raised, and being able to just get a little glimpse of that. We ain't getting people's whole biographies, but we get enough to be like, dang, these are some really cool people, and we are some cool people. We are some cool gals, some cool people, and I just wanted to break off from what the mold of what a art student's supposed to look like at art school, and what a this and a that and a that and a that. Because I do think that we do a lot of aesthetic mood boards of like, there's a look, there's an image, there's a this. And there's people that I interviewed that you'd have never known. They're doing this major, they're doing this, they're in this sport, because we do have sports in here. We have, I don't know how many, but I know in Atlanta and Savannah, there's different sports. Like people, I love to say that we have equestrian, but that's in Savannah and that's horseback riding. But we have so many sports. We have tennis, we have swimming, I think swimming's in Savannah. We have soccer, I think soccer's in Savannah, but we have bowling here, we have fencing here. We have, now the traditional sports like the baseball, the basketball, the football, no. But I do have interviews of people in sports, and you know, they are considered college athletes just like that and everybody else. And I don't really know, because I'm not a college athlete. I was once going to, but when I even saw the semantics of it, it's a lot of pressure. And I feel like just being able to hear their voices matters just as much as just the average art student just going to school and coming back home and just working on their craft. You know, because I've talked to peers that said, like, look, I want to actually do this, like professionally too. This isn't just some fluff thing or just for in the ways and means of being at school, but like there's different goals and aspirations that people have in the sports and the college sports aspect that you don't hear in a college sports and an art school collabing. You usually hear it from a state or a Ivy or a just any other type of school. I don't think you hear a lot of people that have art schools and sports together. And I think that was important for me as somebody that I did dance majority of my life, which dance is sport. Yes, it is. I did tennis and swimming as well. So I'm not a wizard in all the sports, but I know what it's like to be a high school athlete. I didn't get to film the proper outro to this video, but I want to thank you guys so much for being along with me in this journey. I'm not just saying for season 1 of the Honey Drip Check series, but really being engaged, all the peers, all my friends, people that had helped me. Shout out to my BTS photographer and just also like little assistant Justin for helping me also with the photo shoots that I have composed together. I'm actually, as of right now, before I had posted this, I didn't realize I didn't put a proper outro together. So I wanted to say thank you guys so much for just rocking with me. And this is just a small portion of what I have to come, and you guys being able to see the interviews, how I work this around, and really getting to engulf yourself in Nylas Multimedia and where I see this brand becoming and where I see this brand going. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you stay tuned to the part 2 where I get into a little mind mapping of the layout of my questions, and it's really fun. I can't wait to share you guys. Make sure you guys check out my social medias. You know, I have an Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of that. I'll list the platforms right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And yeah, bye.